Hello, friends. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Michelle Fondin. I'm the author of Chakra Healing for Vibrant Energy, exploring your 7 energy centers with mindfulness, yoga, and Ayurveda. I'm also the author of The Wheel of Healing with Ayurveda, an easy guide to a healthy lifestyle. You can purchase any or all of my 11 published books on Amazon. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for subscribing below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. And thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. I do tarot and astrology readings. You can book that at my website, michellefondinauthor.com. Welcome to exploring your inner world, your journey to your own spiritual awakening. And today's video is about the first sign to a spiritual awakening. What is that first sign? You might be brand new to a spiritual awakening. Maybe this is just happening to you. Maybe this isn't your first go around. Maybe it's not your first rodeo. Maybe you've already had some spiritual awakenings. Maybe this is a new one. Here's the first sign. The first sign is discontentment or dissatisfaction. Discontentment or dissatisfaction. You might be wondering, why is that the first sign for a spiritual awakening? It's because it is. That is always the way a spiritual awakening occurs. It's this sense of something isn't right in my world and I don't know what it is. Now, a lot of you have come to my channel through a spiritual awakening via the twin flame journey. And if you've never seen my video, the 14 signs to know if you're a twin flame, I'll post that link right here. But a lot of you did come to my channel because of the twin flame journey. And you might be saying to me, well, Michelle, you know what? That wasn't my first sign. My first sign was crazy unconditional love for this person. Well, if you dig a little bit deeper, because a lot of my clients come to me as they're digging deeper into that, and they realize that, well, the twin flame ignition, that igniting, might have been the first sign. Really, what was happening before that was this sense of discontentment with your current life. And oftentimes, a twin flame will come to me and be like, hey, I'm happily married, everything is hunky-dory. But then when I dig deeper, I realize, and they realize, that they really haven't been happy in years. That is just one example. Could be with career or a job or whatever you happen to be doing. But the first sign of a spiritual awakening is discontentment, dissatisfaction, where you may have everything going for you. You might have a successful job or career. You might have a nice home in a nice community. You might have a whole group of friends who adore you and you adore them. You might be happily married, or you might be in a relationship or have a couple of kids. And things seem to be flowing in your life. Things seem to be going according to the plans that you've laid out in your life. But then you arrive at this pit in your stomach, in this sense of dissatisfaction and discontentment. You're like, what is going on? What is going on in my world? What is wrong with you? As you say to yourself in the mirror, right? You say to yourself, what's wrong with you? I have the things that I want in this life. Or maybe if you're struggling in 1 or 2 areas, overall, you might assess that your life is going pretty darn well. You wake up day after day and you're just kind of in a funk. You're like, I don't know why I'm in this funk. This funk really sucks. Everything in my world seems to be going well. I can pay my bills. I wake up to these beautiful faces of my children, or maybe your pets, or maybe your spouse. And you're like, I wake up every morning and I have things to be grateful for, and yet I have this feeling of discontentment or dissatisfaction. Now, having a momentary lapse into discontentment is part of being human. We can't always have the best day of our lives, although you probably could if you intended that. But you're not always elated 100% of the time, every single day, all day. Sometimes we have negative feelings. We experience negative feelings, and that's pretty normal for being human. But if you are waking up day after day after day after day with this sense of dissatisfaction with your life, even though your life is going pretty darn well, then that is a humongous sign of a spiritual awakening. Back in, I don't know, I'm gonna rough it because I'm not really sure the exact year, but it was between 2001 and 2002, somewhere along those lines. I had been going through a spiritual awakening, unbeknownst to me, but I had been going through a spiritual awakening since about 1999 to 2000. By the time it hit 2001, around that time frame, I was waking up, and my husband and I at the time, we had just bought this brand new house, a bigger house. We were living in a townhome before. I had two beautiful children at the time. They were just the marvels of my life. I was able to work from home most of the time. I think I transitioned from part-time to working at home for a bit. I had the luxury of being able to do that. And I was sitting in my new home and I was so depressed. And when I say depressed, I was like down for no apparent reason at all. And I would wake up day after day in this funk, in this depression, even though I had all the things around me that were providing for me. And I really could not understand why. And I remember distinctly going on a walk in the middle of the day when my kids were at school, going on a walk around the block, one time around the block, 2 times around the block, 3 times around the block, really searching for reasons why I was feeling this way and trying really hard to feel so much better. And whatever I did, nothing was working. Now, of course, I must give a warning here that if you have had a medical condition in the past that has led you toward depression, anxiety, then yeah, check with your doctor, of course, right? Check with a healthcare practitioner just to make sure that it has nothing to do with your past medical history. But if it's a general feeling of just discontentment, even though things seem to be going okay, it's best to take a look at, is this a spiritual awakening? Is it my soul trying to tell me something? Now, in the last video I produced on this topic, I will post that right here. I really talked about how your soul and your spirit guides and your ancestors and your guardian angels are just leading you toward the next step, the next phase of your soul's growth. And really, that is one of the reasons why you have this spiritual awakening at a particular moment in your life, or several spiritual awakenings at different moments in your life. But dissatisfaction, discontentment is really the way it starts. And usually, as I mentioned, this discontentment, dissatisfaction is because you don't know why. That's basically it. You just don't know why. You can't really pinpoint a singular reason. Now, as I mentioned, not everyone's life is perfect all the time. There may be 1 or 2 areas in your life that are lacking, and you may be upset because of those 1 or 2 areas of your life and trying to make them better. But this is just an overall general feeling of dissatisfaction. I don't know why. I don't know what's happening to me. I'm trying to appreciate the things in my life, but I'm still dissatisfied. It's just time to stop and take the journey inward. Now, you can do this so many ways. You can journal. You can journal your moods throughout the day. You can journal, and I did that. I actually did that. I was thinking it was thyroid related because at that moment I had my thyroid taken out about 1.5 years prior to that happening. So I was thinking, okay, it's thyroid related, it's thyroid medication related. I really wasn't sure, but I did make a chart and I was journaling things and I was really trying to figure it out. Now, it may not make sense in the beginning. I would say journal anyway, because it's a really good idea to do that and just track how you're feeling, maybe why you might be feeling discontentment, dissatisfaction. And if you have 0 clues, then just ask yourself, what do you feel like you're needing to do that you have not yet done? Are you moving toward a life purpose that you've been ignoring? Is there something in your job or career that is maybe just not fulfilling to you anymore and your soul is calling you to more? Is it something in your relationship? So there's always like a major point at which we can find and jump off of, like kind of a major sticking point. And that's usually like the soul telling you, hey, it's the next phase. Here we go. It's the next phase of growth. Now, for me, in that moment, at that spiritual awakening, it did take me, I would say about 1.5 years before I really, truly figured it out. It may not have been that long. It just seems like it was that long. But I went through a lot of weird things during that time. So I went through this healing separation with my husband at the time, which meant that with a counselor, with a therapist, we went into separate bedrooms and we kind of like worked through a lot of stuff. Ultimately, in the long run, it didn't work, but it worked for that moment because I couldn't figure out exactly what was going on for me. So, we went through this healing separation. We were living in separate bedrooms. We ended up coming back together and I got pregnant with my third child. While I was pregnant with my third child is when I had the understanding of what was happening. And it was at that point that I discovered all of my teachers. Now, if you've been following me for quite some time, you know that my two major teachers at that time in 2002 to 2003 were Drs. Deepak Chopra and Dr. Wayne Dyer. And so those are my two major teachers that I found at that particular moment in time. And then things just started to explode in a good way for me, meaning I was just absorbing all of this knowledge on my spiritual journey. It was like exponential at that point. But when it started with dissatisfaction and discontentment, I still had no idea what was happening. I just didn't. I knew I was not okay in my current life. I knew that something was off. I knew that I couldn't possibly wake up day in and day out and just not be satisfied with my life anymore. It just didn't make much sense to me. But once I started to make those changes, and again, like I said, the changes were like big, but not big. There were changes happening. I was trying to pinpoint what was the catalyst for this for me. And of course, like I pinpointed my marriage at the time, but also I didn't have the courage, strength, and probably the information, the internal information to make a real choice to end the marriage at the time that I did. And of course, I have this wonderful third child. I have my wonderful third baby. So of course, I would never trade him in for the world. But I didn't have enough information about my spiritual journey at the time to make really solid decisions. Now, that's the last thing I want to say to you. If you are really at this first sign of your spiritual awakening, where you're at the point of your life where you're like, I'm not happy, I am discontent a lot of the times, and I really don't know why, I would urge you to not make any major life decisions at that particular moment. Take some time, let it ruminate, explore a little bit, journal, learn how to meditate. Now, I teach meditation. I have an online course that I teach that I learned with Dr. Deepak Chopra. I'm a certified Chopra Center instructor. And also I have taught since 2009. So I have my online course. I have my course with Zoom calls. So if you're not meditating, I would highly encourage you to start meditating because that'll give you a lot of the answers as well. And in fact, when I finally did make a decision about ending my marriage, it happened during a Deepak Chopra meditation retreat in 2007. That took a long time. If you think about my spiritual awakening happening around 2001, all the way through finally deciding to get a separation, full-on separation in 2007, that was 6 years that had passed. But it was through my meditation practice, which I had just learned full time, but it was a retreat. So I was meditating like 3 or 4 hours a day, every single day. But it was really at the end of that retreat that the answer became very clear to me about making that major life change. But I would just urge you not to make any major life changes during that initial phase of dissatisfaction and discontentment. So I hope this was helpful for you if you are on your spiritual journey and kind of just getting started. I want to thank you so much for joining me here today. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. Thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Thank you for sharing this video with others who might be going through a spiritual awakening. Thank you so much for your support of my YouTube channel. You can buy one of my 11 published books. You can join my meditation course or book a reading with me. And I will see you in the next video.